Who is Ernest Grassel?
Ernest Grassel was a Peorian who was very interested in buildings and homes and churches, and he went around in the 1960s and 1970s and took photographs of structures in Peoria. He worked at Caterpillar, but this was just a love that he had on his off time, and seems like he did a lot of it.
What do you think motivated Grassel to take so many photos of homes and businesses around town, and why specifically Peoria?
Well, I think being from here, and I think just as some of us have a fascination on whatever it is that we collect or whatever it is that we do, he just loved these structures and wanted to, I think, I don't want to say memorialize, but honor those structures that were going to be destroyed.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the houses that were going to be destroyed?
So there was an urban renewal project that came in along with a lot of things in the 1960s, 1970s, and it went through city council, but it really was about taking sort of the Southtown area, Martin Luther King, Kumpf, what we call sort of the medical center kind of area now on that side to 7th Street, and tearing down those homes for urban renewal to build commercial and other property there. Not really realized, but that's what happened.
Did it matter what type of buildings he was taking pictures of, or was it just a specific houses, or like what kind of buildings was that?
Well, the 82 volumes have a lot of different pictures. Churches, businesses, neighborhoods, houses, but it was of structures. It was not of people. And that, I think, is the overriding factor.
When did he know that this was something that he wanted to continue doing and to even donate a lot of these photos that he took of?
I think he had these volumes, and I'm not sure that he really realized what they would become. You know, just a time capsule of history of stuff that is gone. I'm not sure. He might have seen, you know, the why is always the question that we chase in a way, or how. And he might have seen the writing on the wall with urban renewal given the time period of the photographs, but it was just an amazing thing that he did that is used to this day.
You know, we know that he's taken so many pictures of homes and buildings, and knowing that those buildings are now gone, how valuable are his photos?
They're very valuable because they're memories and they're stories. And so we've had a number of customers that just have cried over the photos when they see, because as an example, a customer, May Catherine Godhigh, who is also with the Historical Society, was looking for a picture of her grandfather's home. He moved to Peoria in the Great Migration from the South in the 1940s and built a home. And the Grassel collection is driven by address, so we looked by address, and there was a picture of her grandfather's home that was destroyed during the urban renewal, and she just cried over it because it brings all these memories of her childhood, but then also those memories of history and what happened. So it is an emotional experience a lot at times.
What can Grassel's photos tell us about everyday life and how things looked back then in Peoria?
Well, of course, you know, they are a snapshot of the time. So you get the picture of the cars, which are absolutely hysterical, okay? And then you also get pictures of things that still exist today, but you see them in the context of the late 60s, the early 70s. And even just, you can see some of the little neighborhood grocery stores that existed. You might see Knoxville Avenue before it was even way far out to Dunlap. So they bring back the memories, but then also teach. They teach. So if you come in, I've seen a lot of intergenerational people come in, bring the younger and the older to start to tell stories about the way things were and the lessons that come that might not be realized when we're in our 20s and 30s and listening to them, but the stories and the history might be realized when we're older. So I think that coming in and seeing the neighborhood grocery store as it was brings back memories of our ancestors, but then can also be taught to our descendants.
How did the Urban Renewal Initiative change the look and feel of downtown Peoria?
Well, more so, you know, downtown, of course, being so close to downtown, but more so in that area, you know, from William Comf, you know, out a little to Martin Luther King to 7th Street. It completely changed the community. It completely changed the focus of the area. It tore up families who built their life down there, again, coming back to May Catherine. We were coming in, or the city was coming in, urban renewal was coming in, and yes, you are going to give up your house. We're going to give you a price for your house, and you are going to have to relocate. The memories of that community were struck and torn apart. The community itself was dispersed and displaced, and people had to create a different type of community. That happens when you move anywhere, but having the pictures and then knowing what it's like now, and still vast pieces of land that was never developed, and the lives that were changed.
Are there any specific buildings or neighborhoods in Grassel's photos that really stand out to you personally?
You know, I think just when I look at the overall collection, but when you begin to look at the individual photos, the photos of the stores and the photos of the churches and the schools that were anchors of the community, that's what stands out to me mostly. And not necessarily just even Southtown. I mean, there's the West Bluff, there's Center Bluff, there's all these other areas of town, and just what it meant to the town as it was growing and as it existed. And when you look at those places and that they were vibrant and that there's a story in those photographs on a bigger picture and on an individual level.
How do you think Peorians today would react if they saw what the city used to look like through his lens?
I think it's funny. I think it depends on what generation you're talking about. I think if you talk about the older generation, it brings back all those memories. I think the younger generation is like, oh, that's how that existed, or look at those cars, or I think also the impact of something that doesn't exist anymore on somebody in whatever generation it is. It's a great lesson. And it's not Peoria, it's all the communities. If somebody watching this is not native Peorian, go to your local library and see what photos they have for where you grew up or where you were spending, because the material that's at a local library in a local history collection is full of memories, full of memories.
What can we learn from people like Ernest or Ernie who took the time to document the city they lived in?
Slow down and look around. Slow down and look around and remember your time. And take a breath and live in the moment, so as you get older, you can pass on your story and what it was like to those that come after us, I think. And keeping history alive is keeping you alive and keeping your family and your community alive.